This is the introduction video for the Tap and Go card wallet. This wallet is a really fast sew. There are only 4 stitch lines in this wallet, and you could actually take it down to 1 if you wanted to. Basically, it's a fast sew with only 2 pattern pieces, the exterior A and your outside pocket B. It's a really great wallet for men and for women. It can be made in vinyl, leather, or cork if you wish. I've got 3 here in front of me. This one's vinyl, this one is a thin leather, and this one is a thicker leather. Let me talk about the wallet itself. So I'll move the pattern pieces over to the side. Let's talk about the vinyl. What vinyl you want to look for is one without a furry back. This vinyl is from Renata's, that vinyl source. It's a nice, thin, lightweight vinyl, and it actually can be used from scrap fabrics that you have from a purse that you may have made. I've used a contrast pocket on the back. So basically there is a slip area in the front where you can place some credit cards. You've got a more secure area in between that you can actually put more credit cards or some folded cash. And there's a back pocket back here so that if you use this card a lot for at the grocery store and it has a tap, then you can just pull this out, tap it, and you're away to the races. So basically this is a vinyl version. This is a thicker leather. So this leather is about 3.5 ounces. Now, if you're using a thicker leather like this, then you will definitely require an industrial machine, as well as I like to skive certain areas, which I will cover here in a second, the areas that need to be skived to make it easier to stitch and a more consistency in levels. This is a thinner leather, so this is a 2-ounce leather, and again, it's got a nice finish on the inside. It's a pale pink, and there is the pocket at the back. Now, if you wish to minimize some of the stitching, so if you want to make it a really quick sew, then you can minimize the top stitching. There is a top stitching decorative stitch around here as well as around this area right here. And if you choose to do that, then your wallet will look like this. So as you can see, there is no stitching up and around through here or in that back area. So what you've done is you've gone from 4 stitches down to 2, and the 2 stitches would be securing your pocket in place as well as that last final stitch. Now, if you wanted to take it even down a little bit more, then you can reduce this to just 1 stitch. This is the leather right here that I'm using, and I'm going to show you the skiving that I have done on these pieces as well. This is a really nice thick leather that's great for a man's pocket wallet. I have skived the side over here across the bottom and back up the side. I have also done some skiving here on the pocket portion right there. So if you want to take this down to 1 stitch, then all you have to do is fold everything into position like this, glue it, and stitch it closed. Now, you don't have a back pocket, but boy, oh boy, how quick is that? So it could be a great idea for gift cards. If you happen to have a gift card that you're giving away, what a great idea to place that gift card into this wallet. It can be done in all kinds of colors for men or women. It's a nice unisex wallet. So I'm hoping that I see a lot of wonderful designs and colors in the group. And basically what we're going to do now is we're going to clear everything away, and I'm going to give you the full video instructions on how to make this wallet. Okay, let's get started on this fantastic Tap and Go card wallet. In front of me, I have the pieces that are required. Pattern piece A and pattern piece B. Both these pieces have been cut from a 2-ounce goat skin leather. I am going to be stitching this on my HD9 so it can show you exactly how well this machine works with a 2-ounce leather. Now we do need to make some decorative top stitching first. And again, this is optional for you. If you want to minimize this, that's totally up to you. But what you're going to do is you're going to top stitch around this top curve of the pattern piece B, which is your pocket, and you're going to stitch around this whole area over here to this point on pattern piece A. Now I've gone ahead and I've taken a pointed awl. You can use a disappearing pen or marker, and I've pushed a hole through this corner so that I know where to begin my stitching. And I've also gone ahead and I've poked a hole over here on this side where I know where to finish, and I have done that as well up here in the top corner and up here in the top corner. This just helps to align my needle into position when I go to do my stitching. I am going to start down here at the bottom corner. I'm going to leave myself a long tail, and I'm going to keep my stitch length approximately 1/8 of an inch away from that edge all the way around until I reach that other mark, which is the hole I've placed over here at this peak right here. And once again, I'm not going to backstitch when I start or stop, but I'm going to leave myself some long tails so that I can pull them to the wrong side, tie them off, and glue them into position. Same thing on my pocket. I'm going to begin over here with the needle down. I'm going to come one step across and then come down in a curve, one step across until I end in that hole, making sure that I have long tails so that I can pull those threads to the back. So let's head over to the sewing machine and we'll do this decorative stitch. Okay, I'm over at the sewing machine and I'm going to go ahead and do my decorative stitch. I have my needle already down into that hole right in there, and I'm going to come around all the way until I am over to this side over here where that other hole is. I'm going to keep my stitch approximately 1/8 of an inch away from this outer edge. I have gone ahead and drawn a line on my foot so that I have a guide that I can follow. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to completely go around that edge, do that decorative top stitch, and then I'm going to do the top stitching on the pocket. Okay, I'm back from the sewing machine and I have completed my decorative stitch along the top curve of my pocket. As you can see, I have pulled my front threads to the back by tugging on them. I've tied a few knots and I've added a bead of glue down the side, and I have glued down my tails. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want. You can just snip your tails here and burn them off, or put a dab of glue there if you want. I just like to run my tails down the side just like that. I have completed the same thing on the pattern piece A. So I've gone completely around that top edge with my decorative stitching, and I've finished over at this peak. And once again, I have pulled my threads to the back, tied them off, and glued them into position along that bottom corner and over here down that side. Again, totally up to you as to whether or not you want to glue that down or snip them off, but you want to make sure that they don't unravel if you're using a nylon thread. Now, once again, if you wish to eliminate this stitching, you can do so, but remember, your pocket will, the card wallet will look like this. There'll be no stitching at the top and no stitching here, but that eliminates 2 of the stitchings if you wish. I like my decorative stitch because it completes everything in the right way and it makes it look a little bit more professional. Okay, I've now gone ahead and I've placed this pattern piece A right side down. I'm looking at the wrong side, or the fiber side of my leather. I have taken the time and I've measured from this end right here 6 inches in. I've made 2 marks, and those are going to be alignment marks so that when I fold this over, I will have a placement line to fold it into position. So basically I've gone ahead and done that. Don't go too far up because you may see that up in the inside. So I just put 2 little lines like that. You can draw a full line if you wish. What you're going to do is you're going to fold over. So this is the wrong side. So you're going to begin over here on the right edge, and you're going to fold this over wrong sides together so that this edge is aligned with the drawn line. And you're going to place a couple of clips down into position to hold that down. You want to make sure that this bottom edge is nicely aligned with each other. Now you're going to use a poly roller. I just want to make sure everything's nice and smooth. You're going to use a poly roller, and you're going to smooth this edge over here. Now, if you wish, you can add another clip up here to make sure that it doesn't shift on you. And I'm just going to finger press this right now, and then I'm going to poly roll this really well. This just gives you a flatter area when you flip this piece over to align your pocket with. So I'm going to put a clip right here at the side, and I'm going to put another clip right here. I want to only keep that clip about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in position. I'm now going to fold this left side over on top of what we've just done. So I'll remove that clip at the top and the two at the bottom so that I can bring this fold over. This short edge needs to align with that fold you just made. So we're going to come all the way over, making sure that the bottom edge is even and aligned into position. And I'm going to reclip that like that. And same as on the bottom, I want to reclip that down here. This edge should be nicely aligned with this fold right here. So you want to make sure that the bottom's still even and aligned. Put that clip into position, and I'm going to once again clip up at the top so that nothing shifts on me. And I'm going to finger press first of all before I poly roll. And I'm going to turn this way so I can poly roll it better. I'm right-handed, and I want to make sure that that roll is nice and clean and sharp so that I can place my pocket in position. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove one of those clips and put it over here. So this is what your piece looks like right now. It's just folded into position. We're going to flip this over so that that edge, that angled edge, is facing down, and we're looking at the back side technically of our card wallet. We want to align our pocket evenly within the center of those fold lines, and we want to align it a 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. Now before we do, I'm going to add a bead of glue all the way around the side, and that way it'll set a bit before I place this into position. Now, depending on the product you're using, whether you're using vinyl or cork or whatever, you'll need to use the appropriate glue. I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm going to smooth that out so that it adheres really, really well. I've got a damp cloth here that I can wipe the excess off. So basically, I'm just going to set that aside until I remove some of the clips to make everything nice and flat. This clip is in the way, so I'm now going to remove it and put it up here. What I want to do is I want to align a ruler. So there's my ruler, 1/4 of an inch up from that edge right there. So there's my 1/4 of an inch line right here, and I'm going to place that along that lower edge on top of all 3 folds, and I'm just going to use my fingers to support it. Now this is where you want to make sure your clips are well out of the way so that when you place that pocket into position. I'm going to grab this pocket now, and I'm going to flip it so that the fiber side is attached to the back of my wallet. So what I want to do is I want to place this down into position. So I want to align this lower edge right here with the top of my ruler. And I want to make sure that the pocket is well centered between those folds. So I just want to make sure everything is nice and even before I push it into position. I like what I'm seeing. So now I'm going to press this down just gently, and then I'm going to lift that clip and move it over on top of that pocket so that it secures it in place until the glue is set and ready to go. So basically, This is what your piece should now look like. You have this pocket glued into position. Now be careful not to go too far with your glue, because your credit card needs to slip in there well down to the bottom, to the very end where that stitching is. You don't want to put some glue in there so that it stops it from going down into position. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this set up and dry for just a few minutes. I'll probably place this whole piece underneath some weight just to make sure that it's well adhered. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to unfold this. So basically we'll just assume this is dried. We're then going to unfold this wallet just like that. This once again is the right side and this is the wrong side. And you can see how well my edges are nicely folded and in place. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going to the sewing machine and I'm going to be connecting my pocket to my pattern piece A. I'm going to begin at the top edge of my pocket, not at that hole right there, the top edge, because I want to make sure that that is well secured. Again, I am not going to backstitch when I start or stop, because I want to pull my threads to the back, tie a knot so that it looks like a nice clean stitch. So I'm going to begin up here at that top edge right there, right up in there, because if I can, there we go, right at the very top edge right up here. And I'm going to keep my stitching 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of that pocket. I'm going to go all the way down to this point right here, needle in the down position, pivot, make sure my needle is on the way back up again before I continue. I'm going to go across that bottom edge here till I get to this point, which is 1/8 of an inch from this side, 1/8 of an inch from this side. Again, needle in the down position, pivot, and then go back up so that my stitch ends up at the very top edge. And again, I am not going to backstitch, but I'm going to pull those two front threads to the back and tie them off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this set up properly, and then we'll go to the sewing machine and we'll do that top stitching. Okay, my pocket has set up really well, and I am going to do my stitching. So I connect the pocket to my exterior A. I have put my needle in the down position, and I've extended my line over here so that I know exactly where the edge of that pocket is, because it's kind of hard to see with certain colors. I'm going to go ahead down to the bottom, to the point, across and back up again. I'm going to make sure that I do not backstitch when I start or stop, pull my threads to the back, and that will secure the pocket in place. So let's go ahead and continue the stitching. Okay, my pocket is now secured, as you can see. I have pulled those front threads to the back. I've tied them off in a knot, and I've also taken the time to flame the edges off and hammer them down so that they are set well and not protruding up. So basically this is what your piece will now look like from the wrong side, as well as this from the right side. So we've got one more stitch to finish, and that's just basically folding it in place and stitching all the way around. What you're going to do next is you're going to add a bead of glue all the way along this bottom edge, just keeping that glue about within 1/8 of an inch, because that's where your stitch line is going to be. You don't need to add a lot of glue. I am using Rowley's fringe adhesive. I like that the best with my leather. You can use a contact cement or a water-based contact cement if you wish, but you want to make sure you keep that glue really close to the edge of that piece. Again, you don't want any glue to come up too far so that it actually stops those cards from going down into position. Okay, so what I want to do at this point is I want to fold everything back into place. So once again, I want this side edge folded over, and remember this is the wrong side, until it meets that line that I drew. And I want to align that bottom edge and that side edge really, really well. I'm going to finger press it into place, and I'm going to place a clip up at the top, just like that. Make sure that it's all nice and even along that bottom edge. And I'm just going to put a clip up here at the top just to secure that in position. And now I'm going to fold this other piece over top just like I did. And I want to align that edge right there with that folded edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to place this into position just like that. And I'm using my fingers to finger press that glue down and making sure everything is nicely aligned. I'm now going to put a clip here and a clip at the bottom, just like that. I want to make sure everything is nice and even, especially those bottom edges. And when I'm happy, then I'll reclip everything. And I'm going to once again poly roll those sides really well so that they form a nice crisp edge. And that glue that I've placed on this edge here and across the bottom really connects well. If you're doing these in batches, then you can easily set this under something heavy while you continue doing other stages of this wallet. And that way everything will be really, really nice and crisp for you to stitch. So the very last stitch is we're going to be starting up here at the top. Now I'm going to begin my stitch 1/8 of an inch from this whole fold, and I'm going to start right at that last stitch line, right in there. I want the stitch to finish here so that I can do a loop around that edge to make it look more like a typical leather worked wallet. I'm going to not back stitch when I start and stop. I'm going to make sure I have an extremely long tail because I will be doing some looping. So I'm going to start stitching here all the way down that fold over top that point till I get to the bottom, needle in the down position again, and come across that bottom, needle in the down position, and back up so that I finish my stitch right at that stitching. So basically that's how I'm going to complete this whole thing, and then we'll come back. I'm going to go to the machine. I'm going to make sure everything's all set properly. I'm going to do my stitching, come back, and I'm going to show you how to do a whip stitching on the top and how to bury your threads. So I've completed my stitching down the side, across the bottom, and back up the other side. I have taken the time to kind of whip stitch around a couple of stitches and tie in a knot and bury my threads so that I finish off that top edge. Again, that is totally optional for you. If you want, you can pull the threads to the inside, tie them off, and snip them, and then bury the threads down below so that you don't have that whip stitching. That's totally up to you. It's just something that I like to do to give it more of that leather look. So basically what I've done is when I finished that stitch, I pulled those two threads to the inside. I've whipped around twice, tied a knot, and then buried my threads. So this is what this piece now looks like from the front side and from the back side. As you can see, it's a great, great wallet. It's a really nice, classy, clean design and fits really well in your pocket or in small places. So as a reminder, you can actually eliminate that stitching at the top and it would end up looking like this with no stitching, as I was saying. Or you can just eliminate the pocket totally and cut a piece of really great leather, fold that once like that, stitch around, and you've got one stitching. So it's totally up to you as to how you want to finish off this wallet. But there is vinyl version, so you can do vinyl, and this one's got the stitching. This one is contrast, as you can see on the pocket, leather. and thicker leather, so you can get some great looks in your wallet. I cannot wait to see all of your colors that you choose and all of what you have done with this wallet. And I hope that it is going to be a really great sell for you at a craft show, and it's a great gift. So that ends this video on the Tap and Go card wallet. I can't wait to see all of your products.